I wanted to be everything. I wanted to do everything. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical way. I mean it in the most literal, exhausting, and paralyzing way possible. I wanted a six-figure career. I wanted to be a YouTuber. I wanted to be a minimalist who wakes up at 5 a.m., drinks matcha, journals in a $40 notebook, works out 5 days a week, eats clean, reads a book every month, builds passive income, meditates daily, grows a digital business, takes aesthetic trips, posts on Instagram consistently, builds a deep relationship, heals my childhood trauma, stays connected with friends, calls my mom, invests in crypto, pays off debt, eats enough protein, and somehow, still has time to romanticize life. I wanted to be the person who had vision boards and Google calendars color-coded down to the hour. The one who could recite quotes about discipline and dopamine detoxing and productivity hacks. The person who built an empire quietly while sipping tea and wearing linen. I wanted to be her. I wanted to be that person. And so, I did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I would watch productivity content while lying in bed for the third hour. I'd start a Notion dashboard and abandon it halfway. I downloaded habit tracking apps, deleted them 3 days later. I bought planners, left them blank. I saved reels, read newsletters, watched people my age post a day in the life vlogs where they woke up with energy, worked out, built something meaningful, had lunch with friends, and still managed to do skincare and read before bed. I wanted all of it, and I believed somehow that I should be doing all of it. I wasn't jealous in a mean way. I was overwhelmed in a quiet way by possibilities, by expectations, by the gnawing feeling that I was falling behind in a race I never signed up for, but somehow found myself running in. Everyone was moving, doing, becoming, while I sat with my ideas and untouched potential like they were ghosts I didn't know how to talk to. Every day I woke up thinking, today I'll do better. Every night I went to bed whispering, maybe tomorrow. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't unmotivated, I was stuck. Not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much about too many things. I thought I needed to become everything all at once. And the weight of that made it impossible to become anything at all. I would have bursts of inspiration, moments where I planned everything, the videos I'd film, the fitness goals I'd crush, the businesses I'd start. Then nothing. The high of planning faded. Reality hit. And with it came the fear. What if I start and I suck? What if I try and fail in front of people? What if I prove to myself that I'm not enough, not talented enough, not consistent enough, not whatever enough? So instead of risking failure, I stayed in the safe space of potential, where things are still perfect because they haven't been attempted yet, where I can still dream without risking disappointment. But that space, over time, turned from cozy to cruel. The guilt started creeping in. Why haven't you started? Why are you always watching and never doing? Why do you keep making excuses? Why do you keep promising yourself change and never following through? I began to hate myself for it, quietly, not loudly enough for anyone else to see, but loudly enough that I could feel it in the way I flinched when someone asked, "So what have you been up to lately?" I didn't know how to say, "I've been drowning in ideas, but too scared to swim." I started withdrawing. I stopped talking about goals because I didn't want to be seen not reaching them. I stopped celebrating other people's success because it reminded me of my stillness. I didn't like that version of me, the one who only consumed and never created, the one who observed life instead of living it, but I didn't know how to change her, so I lived with her. I lived with the discomfort of wanting more and doing less, of knowing I was capable but not proving it. I kept waiting for the perfect moment, when I had more time, more clarity, more confidence. But the perfect moment never came. It was always next week, next month, after I felt better, after I figured everything out. Spoiler, I never figured everything out. But one day, I did something small. I got up and wrote a paragraph. Just one. It wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't good, but it was something. And for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of honesty, like I had touched something real inside me. So the next day, I did another small thing. I took a walk. I didn't time it. I didn't track steps. I just walked. Then I made a smoothie. Then I texted a friend back. None of these were major milestones, but they were motion. And motion matters. I stopped trying to fix everything. I picked one thing, and then another. I gave myself permission to not be good at everything, to not want everything, to not do everything. I learned to say, today, this is enough. And slowly, the shame started lifting. I started caring less about how things looked and more about how they felt. I stopped performing and started participating. And that changed everything. Not overnight, not in a way that's Instagram-worthy, but in a way that felt sustainable, gentle, real. I still want things. I still dream big. But now I know. Wanting isn't bad. It's the pressure to want everything all at once that paralyzes us. It's okay to want a soft life, a slow one that unfolds instead of explodes. If you're in that space where you're full of ideas but stuck in place, I see you. You're not behind. You're not a failure. You're just tired. You've been carrying too many shoulds and not enough wants. You've been trying to build 10 roads at once without realizing you only need one. Start with one. Just one. One task. One truth. One tiny moment of showing up for yourself. Then do it again. Then rest. Then come back. And keep doing that. Keep returning. You don't need a reinvention. You need a remembering of who you are when no one's watching, of what you love when no one's asking you to prove it. You don't need to prove